we gather here today, season 2 of Pass The Aux. Jayden, Wyatt, for once, not talking about something yay related, as today it's a somber mood in the one and only podcast in a car, the one and only car in the world. As Wyatt, we've come here today to mourn the death of Opium, and so we're gonna throw up our YVLs one last time.
Oh, do we need it longer?
Yeah, a little longer. Okay, yeah. There we go. YVL's over with. Ken Carson's new 2026 release, XPERIMENT, shows that Unk's washed, and it was 22 songs too long. Ken Carson has dropped the government-mandated album once again, contractual album. It's like Drake, if Drake made shitty rage music, which is somehow actually more listenable than normal Drake. And Wyatt, I know you're kind of the expert in Opium, YVL, dark vampire stuff, and so I kind of want your perspective and, you know, maybe kind of talk about how your journey with Opium, you know, from being a fan to kind of drifting away.
Right. So, basically, I went from a Carti hater, and then I started listening to Carti, you know, a little more and more. I just kind of adjusted to him. I ended up really getting into Carti around probably like 2021, so like after Whole Lotta Red was out, because, you know, we are youngins.
Yeah. We
are not we weren't around before Whole Lotta Red, really. So I start getting into Carti a little bit more. Around like 2022, I find out this guy, Ken Carson's dropping an album called X, and he's signed to Playboi Carti's label. I listen to it, and I love it. And,
terrific.
You know, I've always been kind of going against the grain, and Anthony Fantano actually gave that album a 0. So I'm like, Fantano doesn't like it, so I'm gonna really like it. And I love that album. I get really into Ken Carson, Destroy Lonely, Homicide Gang. I'm a little Opium boy.
Yeah, you got YVL tatted all
right,
over.
Exactly. I got a throat tat that said like Opium God. I had to get it removed though, because this album was that horrendous. You know, and then Ken Carson dropped a Great Chaos. It had 14 songs that had a snippet out of the 18 songs on the album. So I knew it pretty well because I was really into
the leaks.
Into the snippets. Loved that album on release. Almost a year goes by, and I'm kind of listening to Ken a little bit less and less, because there's been like a shift in the fan base, and you start seeing the Great Chaos cover with Donald Trump's face instead of Ken Carson's.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is kind of weird now. After that, Ken Carson just kind of shifted in my perspective. He dropped a deluxe for a Great Chaos. In my mind, it wasn't great. So after that, I just stopped listening to Opium altogether. More Chaos drops. It's a Great Chaos, like, slop-ified.
I mean, so Opium at that point was Lonely, Ken, of course, King Vamp,
yeah,
and then like Homicide Gang.
Right.
And I feel like from my perspective, and I feel like it's kind of what you're getting at, the novelty had worn off, and it had become a little bit more mainstream, and became a little bit less, not cool, but a little, like, you know, as you mentioned, that Trump sort of the AI cover stuff. Yeah. It didn't have, so corny, but it has to be said, the aura had worn off. It was wearing off. It was becoming a little too corny, a little bit too much of the same.
It just got gentrified, really. More people that look like us started listening to it, and
you're the problem.
I am the problem. Ken Carson, I'm sorry that I started listening to your music. I ruined it. Because truly, the more white people started listening to Ken Carson and all of Opium, the worse the music got. Because it stopped being made for people, and it started being made for charts. Because that's what us kind of people do.
That's all you, bro.
That's what we do.
That's just you,
we
bro.
Push music to the top of the charts.
YVL for life.
So, this album was clearly made for the charts. I don't think a Ken Carson album I don't think any Opium member album besides Carti had ever charted before Great Chaos. That's where you can point to a Great Chaos and be like, that was the
a turning point.
Because you can tell it's made for streams, it's made for money, it's made to fulfill a requirement for the label. It's not made for people anymore. And that's exactly what this album sounded like. I couldn't get any passion out of Ken Carson. The flows were all the same recycled flows that he's been using since the Great Chaos, where he goes,
Sydney Sweeney.
And then
Sydney Sweeney.
we talk about how Drake raps in like a nursery rhyme flow.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Ken Carson raps in the most nursery rhyme flow on this.
I think it is, okay, let's say a theme for a song is like, you got more hoes, I got more bros. And he will do 20 lines in a row following that same format. And it's not going to be hoes and bros, but it'll be like, I've got something, you don't.
Right.
Times 20, and in a row. It's the same. It is this pattern that emerged on Experiment that I noticed, at least compared to some of the earlier ones. It's just the same, like, here's an idea for a song. I got one bar. Okay, I'm going to redo this bar 20 times, and that's the song.
Yeah, and he was never like a lyrical genius. That's not why anybody listened to him. I mean, he had some funny lines like, where'd your money go? Or where your racks go? Oh, you spend it on hoes, money, drugs, and clothes.
I hate when I spend my racks on money.
It's an awful line, but it's funny. And the song sounded good enough where you just kind of like laugh it off while you're listening to it. When I have to listen to the same song 22 times, and it's the same bar 22 times with the same like stutter, the that's it. I listened to the same line for an hour and 3 minutes. And it really sucks because Osama-san, are you familiar?
I've heard the name.
He came up as like kind of a Ken Carson clone. Right now he is 10 times better than Ken Carson because he created his own style.
Would you say, just looking from the top of the tree down, that Ken Carson was a Carti clone?
I wouldn't say he was a Carti clone. I think every Opium member kind of shared a different aspect of Carti. He had the production from Carti.
It's like King Von's dreads. Like everybody's got a little piece of Carti.
Yeah, so he definitely had like the production from Carti. I would say Homicide Gang had like more of the vocals, the ad-libs, the kind of the vocal influence from Carti. And I used to have like a PhD in this shit. I couldn't tell you what Destroy Lonely got from Carti now.
Nothing.
And
so I'm gonna take over from there because I think that's a good baseline. And now that Wyatt's rant's over, it's time for my rant. If you've watched us, you know the dynamics. I'm more into the lyrics, the full completeness of the song. This guy's in it for the beats, and to me,
beats and flow. This had neither. Okay,
correct, absolutely, and that is what sucks. You cannot have a rage album, air quotes rage, and none of the beats have energy. You are missing the core of that. Because here's the thing, Ken Carson. Here's the thing, Destroy Lonely. Here's the thing, Playboi Carti. Carti, you kind of handle it because you have Ye making your music. The beats is your career. You are nothing without the beats. Ken Carson has nothing to talk about. It is codeine, it is hoes, it is what you spent your money on, I spent it on money. They have no substance to their music at all. It's all the beats. In fact, I think it's disgusting that they even put Ken Carson's name on the title of the album. It should be every producer who makes those songs because it's the beats. That's what you tune in for. Wyatt talks about, how do you get the white boys to listen to it, to run up the numbers on the charts? It's the fucking beats. It is not Ken Carson talking about hoes for the 30th time.
Right.
Nobody's listening to that and being like, oh my God, I never thought of that before. With that in mind, you cannot have trash ass beats. You can't, because the sliders in 2K, you put your slider for beats at a max, and in turn, everything else goes down to a 0. So you're putting all your eggs in one basket. You're going all in on the beats, and there is nothing even close to what we heard on music. Music has
Right.
Evil Jordan, which, yeah, we got the stupid TikTok, Roblox, gun sound intro. But the beat of that song, I mean, there's nothing close. And not even just Evil Jordan. I mean, there's other songs, looking back on music, or even Whole Lotta Red, that have a sound to it. There is diversity. There is no diversity in sound on Experiment. And in my opinion, to kind of tie this all up in a bow, it's going to be hard to have diversity no matter what, in terms of beats, when you have like 5 producers and you pump out an album every single year. But don't make the album 22 songs. 22 songs for Ken Carson is ridiculous, especially when you have the government-mandated features of Carti, who gives 2 shit features. You have Young Thug, you have Uzi, and a Destroy Lonely feature. You got your government-mandated shit. You do not need 22 songs out of that. Carti could barely pull off music. I would say you could cut a decent chunk of music as well. You could cut all of Experiment. 22 songs is ridiculous, absolutely unnecessary. And I think that this, for me, I mean, not that it matters, but I think, let me put it this way. In my opinion, I think this is the end of Opium. Because I think they
it's been over.
The Aura Bank, they had all their aura stored up, it's gone. Carti spent it on music. Ken Carson hasn't had it in forever, but this was just a slap in the face to a listener. You've heard a Ken Carson album before, you say, oh, I've heard this album before. Yeah, you've heard this album before, but better. There is nothing here if you've heard him before at all. Nothing new, nothing worth listening to. The beats are trash, the flows are trash, the lyrics are trash. The only song I liked was Knocking, and even that was a stretch because I felt bad not putting at least one song I liked.
You can tell how much of a chart slop album this was, because a big part of Opium for until probably 2020, I think 2025, was that Carti didn't give any features to his artists. Homicide Gang,
right? Yeah, it was
Ken and Lone, they had no features from Carti whatsoever. Lone and Carti hopped on one Ken song on More Chaos. It wasn't great, but that's not the point. Now we're getting 2 Carti features. We got 0 for 4 years of Ken Carson albums, and we get 2 on the same album now. Destroy Lonely features, those are expected, but we only got 1. We used to get more than that. We got 1, and then a Young Thug feature and an Uzi feature. Those are just for the charts, and the other big indicator of this is Ken Carson used to have his producers Out of Town and Starboy. They produced almost all of Project X, and A Great Chaos. And then they had a lot of work on More Chaos too. This was almost entirely produced by Filthy. And then 2 Hollis had 1 production credit. Filthy and 2 Hollis are notable names because Filthy produced a lot of Whole Lotta Red.
Yeah, known Carti collaborator.
Right. Why aren't you producing, if you're going to make the same slop album again and again, why aren't you using producers that work? He's never really worked well with Filthy. And
he's experimenting, bro. Gotcha.
Now, 5 years into his studio albums.
Why the fuck do artists do this? Let's talk about this. Kanye experimented with Yeezus. 808s, right? That is an experiment. It is clearly not like his other music, and you could even say Yeezus was pretty rage. Yeet did the same shit earlier this year with ADL, where let me experiment, and it's terrible. It's not even okay, I can see what you did or you were trying to go for. Just because you have an experiment doesn't mean it's a good idea.
Right.
You should think some things through. And I don't even think there was that much experimented on this, besides, the point that I'm making here, that
Carti
Filthy
features
is...
and Filthy, that's it. And those were the 2 things that kept Opium afloat, was that Ken Carson had really good production, and he was able to flow on it, because he was tight with these producers forever.
They ran out. You're pumping them too much.
Right.
You can't get... think about all the... Right, Opium uses the same producers. There's
sort of.
Lone
isn't so much rage as he is I wouldn't say melodic, but he has Clayco, or he did. I have no clue what's going on with them anymore. But more mellow, a lot of sample music. Ken had his rage producers, and then Carti had his producers. I don't get why we're mixing them. We don't need to. It worked fine. If you're going to put out the same album again and again, at least keep it the same. What's good about it, keep that. If you want to experiment, why are you changing your producers that have worked for 6 years?
For me, I give the album like a 2 out of 10, purely based on the fact that there were no songs that were offensively bad. I think making an album overall that is so safe like this, and it is in itself offensively bad, to just to desecrate the idea of music into some sort of product that you must consume, where there's no level of artistry in it. It's just produce, get out, and get people to buy. But it's not like there's any songs that were like, oh my God, this is terrible to listen to. It's just numb. You're just numb the whole time. So,
it's the Drake of rage.
Yeah.
I know you said it earlier, but you gotta just...
Drake also does have bad songs sometimes too.
Right.
That's why, to me, this is even more offensive than Iceman, because Drake will try something and then it's really bad. Ken Carson, what did you try? Opium needs to go away. Go away. Come back. Never. Come back never. You don't have the beats anymore. You don't have the novelty of being fresh on the scene. There's 10,000 underground rappers who make the same shitty beats as you on FL Studio, just spamming together sounds. You're done. Carti has good producers. The rest of you, even Carti should be careful, but the rest of you, you're done. Pack it up. It's a pyramid scheme. Carti's at the top. He's getting all of the juice. You guys are getting the trickle-down effect, and Ken Carson, your tap has ran out. So,
I would say Carti's... I mean, you know how I feel about Carti. I think he's done too, because I think that this whole wave of rage is just over, and they keep trying to push it out still. But it's ChatGPT music.
Yep.
It's
burger ChatGPT music.
It's high school plug. I'm gonna start my own production career.
We are doing AI drop shipping.
I wear crop tees, and that's what this music is to me. And I have one more rant that I need to go on.
Okay.
My favorite song was Drug Kit, I think, with Young Thug, just because Young Thug, I think, is the less...
King Slime.
He's the least... I think Young Thug's gotten worse, but I mean, he's the least rage out of the people on here. I thought his verse was okay. Young Thug is 34 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He was in jail for quite a while. Ken Carson's 26. He's supposed to be in his prime. Young Thug's supposed to be washed, and I don't... That's a different conversation, but I came up with this analogy while I was listening to this album. DeAndre Hopkins is 34 years old. He's washed. He's got like the Paul George theme music. Patrick Surtain is the best corner in the league, and he's 26. If you were to go watch an NFL game and DeAndre Hopkins put up 250 yards, 4 touchdowns, absolutely routed up Patrick Surtain, you'd be like, what is that? Why is that happening? That's not supposed to happen. He's too old. He's too injury prone. Patrick Surtain's in his prime. Why is a 34-year-old Young Thug dog-walking Ken Carson on his own album? You're supposed to be in your prime.
Tell you why. Because he's not a real artist. Ken Carson doesn't really have talent. That's the big secret behind rage music is the producers. That's why I said it's almost a little disingenuous to even have their name on the title of the album. Because you can replace them. All that matters is the beat. It doesn't matter what they all say the same thing. Carti gets the best beats. He's keeping them all for himself. That's what I'm talking. It's the pyramid scheme. Everybody below Carti gets the leftovers. And the leftovers aren't good because half of Carti's music isn't good. So you're getting the real bottom of the barrel dog shit beats. Rage sucks when it's only beats that matter, and the good beats have dried up in the last 6-7 years.
And I mean, the producers have just run out of steam. That has to be. I hope that's why we didn't see Out of Town and Starboy on here, because they just can't produce like they used to. I hope that's why Ken Carson made that decision. I hope it's because he realizes there's producers in the underground like TDF that are better than the Rage producers now. I don't think that's why, but I hope it is. Because if Ken Carson willingly made a decision to put Filthy as like the main producer on this album,
I don't think they choose. Even a hotter take. I think it's so corporatized at this point that it's like...
there's a good chance Interscope just said...
It's like, okay, Interscope says this beat goes to our best. You know, you're our second biggest artist. You get. And I'm sure it's not the guy in the corporate suit picking the beats. They have, somebody in the middle who's like, which are the best? Give those to the best. So, for me, Experiment was anything but a complete irritation of an album. Cannot recommend, and I wouldn't waste your time with it.
Let me come full circle with my Ken Carson. My introduction to Ken Carson was an album that Anthony Fantano gave a 0. I think he re-reviewed it and he gave it like a 1. Or maybe he gave a Destroy Lonely album a 1. I don't know. I'm going to give this album a 0. Because it's gruel. It's porridge. It's just sloppy, shitty food that nobody wants and we're being forced to eat. It wasn't bad, but it not being bad offends me.
All right, Pass The Aux crew. That's the feeling. Just a feeling of... Because we want to listen to albums that are good. So we're going to have some new content coming soon, some more reaction style stuff that may or may not be in the car. If it's in the budget or not, which, if you want a bigger budget, we got to hit 50 subs, so smash that like button. Let's go!
Don't hit 50
PTA
subs.
crew.
Don't.
Because if we hit 50 subs, we are killing Wyatt.
Don't do it, guys.
Let's go! We are at 23, so we need 27 more subs, and we are going to blow him up live on stream. So drop a like, hit that subscribe. Let's hit it as quick as possible, and we can get this dumbass out of the car. From the one and only podcast in the world, I'm Jayden. I'm Wyatt. We'll see you guys next time. Maybe not him. We don't know. He might not make it.